Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group, Indy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win.
Another one!
He got
Another
it!
one! Another one!
Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Galloway finds Rob Finnessy, fires the three, and
He hit it!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard. It is Monday. Kind of hard to forget that one, isn't it? It doesn't look too bad out there. I know we had some a little rain overnight, so hopefully that has cooled things down a bit. I hope you had a good weekend and ready to start a good week. We're going to head you in that right direction. Welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat Radio, of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, brought to you by our good friends from Endeavor Hospitality, the WOW Club. Make sure you go to your Apple App Store or Google Play Store to sign up for the WOW Club today. They are a proud sponsor of IU Athletics, as well as Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. We'll get you in a new ride and rolling around. Lots to get to today. A lot of basketball over the weekend. It kind of came to an end. The AAU summer session, the live period has come to an end. Adidas had an event out in California, but of course the big event was the Peach Jam that was taking place down in North Augusta. We will hear from Keegan Nicholson from thehoosier.com, who was there, and see what he saw. We'll also talk to, well, we've got a lot online today. Besides Keegan, he'll be on with us. You got Dustin Dopirak who'll be on. Kyler Staley's going to join us to talk about the weekend as well. Jim Reamer. So plenty on to get you caught up on who did what, and there was a lot happening. Of course, Indiana's the Indy Heat 16 U team. Was it 16 U team? Yeah, they won their championship in their league, and that's the team that I've been talking about them a lot. Jalen Harrelson and Trent Sisley and Kanan Catchings on that team. Pretty good. But lots more to get to as well. How was your weekend? What did you do? Did you hang out? It was kind of hot. So it's kind of hot to get out unless you're on a boat in the water. It was a little warm to get out and do much. Let's see, you had NASCAR over the weekend. That was entertaining. That was pretty entertaining, as a matter of fact. Pretty entertaining. That was a pretty entertaining race that I watched yesterday. You even had IndyCar racing, and then next weekend you've got the double duo of IndyCar and NASCAR at the Brickyard. So that'll be coming up. It's Brickyard week. So you've got that. Tomorrow, we are live from Lucas Oil Stadium, as well as Wednesday, as Big Ten Media Days for football is upon us. So we will be there live for that. It's a busy time. It's upon us. It's here. So what's happening in Major League Baseball? Anybody have any fun? I know that the Reds play the Marlins tonight, but anything special happen? I don't see anything. The Mets beat the Padres last night. I watched part of that game. Nothing seems to be. Seattle had won, I forget, 10, 12 straight right before the All-Star break. I don't think they've won since the All-Star break. They've lost 2 or 3 in a row. So if you're probably not a Mariners fan around here, but there's that. Jim B, How are you, brother? That's a new face or a new name. Where are you hitting us up from? Peebo is says Hamlin and oh, really? Really? Did that happen afterwards? Denny Hamlin and Kurt Busch were disqualified? Are you serious? How did I miss that? Did that happen late last night or something? Denny Hamlin wins the race and he got disqualified? Man, that doesn't happen. I'm going to pull that up. Teammates, I know that. They both race for the coach, who's got a grandson who's on the way up. That's another kid that's very, very impressive. That's the thing about NASCAR. Man, oh man, all these young kids now. Tim says Kansas is self-imposes holding Bill Self and Townsend out of going on the road for July live period. Oh, wow. Big deal. Huh. Big deal. We'll see how that worked out. Man, really disqualified for failing a post-race inspection, which that happens, but they usually don't take, did they take the win away? They usually don't do that. But let's see. That would be surprising. Following the disqualifications of the number 11, this is from NASCAR. Following the disqualifications of the numbers 11 and 18 cars, NASCAR Cup Series Managing Director Brad Morn addressed reporters at the media center. So you're going to have to fill me in on that. Because yeah, someone says that they did this in 2017 to Joey Logano. Man, that's been a long time, especially now they've got this next gen car that is basically the same car for everyone. But so Chase Elliott ends up getting the win. That's funny, or that's bad. That means that at least they're cheating in the same way. It's funny how that works, though. Cars finish first and second. I love listening and hearing some of the old time cheating stories. Well, they'll be talking, say, yeah, we had a little something in that engine, or they were telling a story the other day. Richard Petty was saying, "Oh, my engine's rating a little big," and somebody said, "Well, just let it cool down a little bit." And he said, "You can take that one to Alaska, and it ain't going to check in right." Yeah, they used to cheat as much as they could. And they don't call it cheating. They call it attempting at improvising. So, well, there's that. First time the race winner has gotten the win taken away after a post-race inspection. Ed asking, is Xavier Booker still in Indiana's top 5? Well, are you asking if he's in Indiana's top 5 or is Indiana in his top 5? Because that's up to him and something he's going to be releasing soon. Jimmy Johnson got his first top 5 finish in Indy cars. Yeah, I was watching that race some as well. He hung in there. Yeah, I think that he'll do fine on oval courses because it's more similar to NASCAR, but I'm not sure on the road courses how he's going to fare. A little old to start taking up IndyCar racing, but that's okay. That's okay. What did you guys hit up this weekend? What were you watching? What were you doing? You couldn't have been doing a whole lot. Like I said, it was too hot. And for those of you, I know there's a lot of you guys that go camping. That just can't be fun. Camping when it's that hot. It just can't. Matt F has a guess for Xavier Booker that it will be Michigan State, Duke, Indiana, 3 of the 5. I would say you could probably see, yeah, those 3 and plus a couple others. But Kurt Busch says NASCAR has done a great job of putting the driver's health before competition, and I respect the decision they have made. I'm still having, he didn't race yesterday. Kurt Busch didn't because he was having concussion-like symptoms. But who did race in his place, ironically, was Ty Gibbs, whose owner is his grandfather, Joe Gibbs, whose 2 cars, first and second place, were disqualified. So how did that one not disqualified? Were they all 3 not the same? John said the heat was horrible. He had to move all weekend. I bet you. I bet you. But moving creates more heat. Man. Yeah, when it gets that hot, it's just not fun. It's just not fun. But it's supposed to cool down today, folks. What's the high supposed to be today? 82? Yeah. How about a high of 79 tomorrow? At least here. Oh, my goodness. Look at that. I'm sitting there looking at the forecast. 82 today, 79 tomorrow, 84, 81, 81, 81, 82. I love that. I love that. It's not just the Big Ten, but I have seen players trying to collectively bargain for a piece of the conferences or TV rights. When now it makes me wonder, all right, how far is that going to go? When do they not become employees? When does this go too far that it just completely ruins everything? I don't know. Can it sustain it? Can it do that? Can they? There's a limit to where it can go when schools are starting to say, well, hey, this isn't making us money anymore. This used to make us money. We could do all this stuff and have all these extra jobs and have jobs that pay exorbitantly high salaries. Well, they may not be able to do that anymore. Maybe they don't want to participate in putting stuff on. You know, there's a limit to what you push for. And I know you have to push for as much as you can, but once you push too far and then you kind of wreck it, it never goes back. That's my concern. Not that college athletes are not deserving of some of the things they're getting now, but I know that there's a line and a limit, and people are going to continue to push until that line is probably crossed. And then what happens? Then what? I don't know. That's the scary question. That's the scary question. Wyatt says Juan Soto, if you're into the baseball, there you go. Matt, looking at the boards for 23 and 24, he's not seeing much in the IU top 5. That's because that's a wonky class. Ed asking, is the AAU circuit done? Basically, yes. And we're going to wrap that up here in a second. When we come back, Keegan Nicholson was down at the Peach Jam, the EYBL championship. And a lot of action there, a lot of value players of interest there as well. We'll talk about that and much more when we come back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends at Cabello Restaurant, located on the square in Bloomington, part of Endeavor Hospitality and the Wild Club. Make sure you want to enjoy some great Italian food right in southern Indiana. Go find yourself at Cabello on the square. Join the Wild Club. Go to your Apple App Store or Google Play Store. Sign up today. It's free. They are a sponsor of IU Athletics and of Indiana Sports Beat, so please go do that. Back with more Keegan Nicholson right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting Bloomington or a cutter, good morning,
sir.
Welcome back.
How's it going?
How was it?
I'll get it off my chest before we go on air, but they do not know how to run a basketball tournament.
Yeah, is it
bad?
Didn't it used to be good?
Yeah, which it's definitely gotten bigger, like a way bigger, probably in the last 5 years. So it just needs to be at a different location because it's not sustainable to keep it in that small of a facility. But
I don't know. I wonder why they do it there instead of someplace like Indianapolis.
it's just that's where they've been doing it, and it's like tradition, basically. I say move it to Indianapolis, call it the Indy 500 or the EYBL 500 or something.
There you go. There are 500 teams in it.
Just about.
What else besides the obvious? Obviously, 16U team was awesome.
What do you mean?
I said besides the obvious to talk about, the obviously the 16U team was awesome. What else?
The Trent Sisley and Jalen Harrelson won the Peach Invitational.
That's what I just said. Well, obviously, the 16 and the Indy Heat 16U team.
Okay,
Harrison
16U.
Well, yeah, that's how many 16U teams are we following?
I was watching Dylan Harper all weekend. He's 16.
Nobody cares about Dylan Harper. He's not coming to Indiana.
Freaking good. That's all I
he's
can say.
He's not coming to Indiana.
DJ Power has new visits lined up to Duke and North Carolina.
Yeah, man, that's one. Do you see that slipping away?
It's definitely slipped more. There's a worse chance of him going to Indiana than before Kansas City 2 weeks ago. Let's just say that.
A worse chance.
Because he was Indiana, it was like Indiana, Notre Dame, and UVA is what it was going to come down to. And now Kansas, Duke, and North Carolina offered him after he scored 41 in Kansas City. So that's definitely going to change things. I tried to talk to him, but he just got swarmed after his game on a Saturday by reporters.
$30.
And I went up to Harper to try to talk to him, and he said, "My mom said I can't do interviews."
More. Simply go to thehoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on the station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by Feast Market and Cellar. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. It is a Monday. Jim Coyle with you as always, brought to you by our good friends at Feast Market and Cellar, a part of the WOW Network. in the Wild Club, make sure you go to the Wild Club and sign up, Apple App Store or Google Play Store, and get yourself signed up for that. Feast Market and Cellar, of course, located right next door to Southern Stone Restaurant on Patterson and Rogers, offering an extensive selection of wine with a sommelier on staff to make that pairing just perfect. Keegan Nicholson joins me now from thehoosier.com. Was down in North Augusta covering the Peach Jam and all that went on down there. A lot of action, a lot of success for a lot of IU targets, especially those on the Indy Heat 16 and under team. Keegan?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure what the difference was between the Peach Jam Invitational and the actual Peach Jam, because they weren't actually in the Peach Jam. They were in some other separate tournament that was related to it, because they're on the UIBL circuit. But Trent Sisley is going to probably be posting some offers. He had Cincinnati, Xavier, and Michigan, watching him drop 23 points, showing off his rebounding. Jalen Harrelson didn't have that great of a game in the championship, and Cannon Catchings was kind of nowhere to be seen. But Sisley is trying to put himself on the map as much as possible. He's trying to get some of those offers that his teammates are getting.
That's not at all surprising to me, as I've been saying that for quite some time. I mean, Trent Sisley is, well, all those guys, but Trent Sisley, he's 6'7". He looks like a sophomore in college. He's your perfect size wing. He's a three-pointer who has a great form, who shoots the ball well, and is only going to get better. I don't know if he's going to grow up more by height more. He doesn't need to, but he will grow out a little more. I tell you who he is right now. He's just a poor man's Liam McNeely from Texas. The only difference between those two guys is just a little more beef on McNeely. He's just he's ready, but of course he's a senior. Yeah. There's a difference, and that's it. And they remind me a lot of each other.
He's actually going to be a junior next year. He's playing up with Drive Nation.
So see, there's those. I just shake my head again. I'm like, oh my God, these guys are looking so unbelievable. From of their bodies are so much more advanced now. It's like, golly. But anyway, I'm not shocked at all. This is a kid who is just your. Plus, he's your typical Indiana shooter.
Yeah.
But he's a hybrid, man. He's like a Steve Alford at a wing.
Yeah. And he can play down low, and he can set himself down there and have success there too. So he's all over the place with what he can do.
But yeah, not surprised his offers are going to go up. I mean, that's just going to be the case. That's what happens when you're good. So the same thing will be for Jalen Harrelson, who is another. It looks like a fullback playing point guard. Yeah. And it's like, wow. But that's a duo that Indiana does not want to be let out of the state for certain.
Yeah, and that when that comment was talking about looking at the 2023 boards, you look at the class of 2025 coming in, or he was talking about the 2024 boards, but the class of 2025, Indiana is going to be in a lot of those guys and a lot of in-state talent specifically. And this could end up being one of the best classes to come through the state in the last good chunk of years. I think Jalen Harrelson is going to be cemented in the top 10 of the national rankings whenever they really come out for his class.
What else happened down there that you saw that maybe you didn't expect to see? Did someone stand out that Indiana's looking at, or did Indiana find somebody else to look at?
I would say Deshaun Harris-Smith really caught me off guard just because of how late they were in on him. Doesn't have a ton of offers. I think Indiana is probably one of his best 2 or 3 offers, but watching him with Team Takeover really just put that team on his back, and he was able to have success inside, show his physicality. He was able to block some shots, and he was a really, really good shooter for being a forward. So I think he would pair really well with Ja'Kai Newton and Gabe Cupps if they were able to get him. I know they need a little bit of size in that 2023 class, so I would expect to see a lot more of Deshaun Harris-Smith in recruiting talks.
Yeah, that's a name that has really, really popped up here of late. He has done nothing but good for himself and playing well. Didn't he have a big game with a high scoring game down there?
I think it might have been the last game. I was on the way back to Myrtle Beach. Alec was streaming that one.
Yeah, there was just a lot of high score, and that's another thing. When these guys get up to these 30-point games, that's pretty impressive. When you're able to score that many points in a game that has this much talent in it.
Yeah, because I mean, you're playing the best talent in the country. Like, there's a huge chunk of these kids that are going to be drafted in 2 years and already have contracts signed. So,
Keegan Nicholson, what was he like?
he didn't see a lot of the ball. And his best thing is he's gonna shoot the ball from range, and he's gonna make those. But he just didn't get a lot of the ball. Neither did Harrelson, because Sicily, you could kind of see the offense running through him, and he would like get a jolt on a possession, and he'd realize, I'm scoring this possession, and I don't care what anyone has to say about it. So and that's what he did. So that kind of ruled out Harrelson and Catchings having big games. Sorry.
It's all right. So what stood out more? I know there was a ton of coaches down there. IU was well represented, but they also had to split time between the coast out on California, as Adidas had a 3 SSB event going on out in Cali that they had to jet out to. It's slipping my mind who was playing out there that they needed to go see, but
watching Gabe Cupps, I'm guessing. Raleigh Burgess, Flory Badunga,
those guys. So they had to split time a little bit. But you probably saw every one of them at one time or another down there, I would imagine.
Every coach?
Yeah.
Jam? Oh, yeah. I walked next to John Calipari for like 20 paces. So that was cool, because all this stuff is still really new to me. Bonded with Nate Oates about.
Wait. You walked to him next to him for 20 steps, and you didn't say, hey, well, dude, why don't you have the balls to play Indiana anymore?
I don't know. I think he has the power to just say, hey, get this kid out of here. And then I have to leave, and I can't do my job anymore.
Dude,
so I don't really want to make him mad.
Dude, I haven't trained you guys well enough, man. All they can say is no. All they can say is no.
I bonded with Nate Oates about the terrible parking situation, because our cars were trapped. Head coach at Alabama, he was really, really mad about that. So, but there were coaches all over the place. Jawan Howard was with 2 assistants at basically
now. And who were they down there watching?
Jalen Harrelson. They're going all after him.
Yeah, that's a kid that he is growing, garnering more and more attention. Jalen Harrelson from Indianapolis on the 16U team with Trent Sicily and Keegan Nicholson, that they're playing up with him. But then how did Catchings, did he get? What was his weekend like?
Not the greatest. It was.
I know you say you didn't see the ball, but
I only got to see them play on Sunday because I was just at Peach Jam watching those guys. So I don't know how he did the rest of the weekend, but it was the Trent Sicily show, that championship game and they beat a BABC team that had won 31 games in a row going into that championship game. That's insane.
Yeah, that's a big long time. But now, and I asked about what's it in the entire staff. We talked about Deshaun Harris Smith. All 4 coaches were on hand to watch him, so they're really putting a push on him.
Yeah, that was the first game of the July live period. I think it was in Kansas City, but they were watching him. But I think they're realizing that they're really in a need for size. They might be out of the running for Xavier Booker. I'm not sure, but they're really going hard after Jamie Kaiser too. So I would expect to see a lot of him.
Well, Kaiser's a guy that they have been really pushed on here of late. Definitely someone that now was he in Atlanta or was he out west?
He wasn't in Atlanta,
He's out west, I think. So yeah,
but he's on the Nike circuit, I think. I'm not sure,
but yeah, it's split up, and so what's next up for these coaches now that the live period is ended?
I'm guessing they're actually going to get to their guys that they have on their roster now. Go deeper into summer training, summer games, but I mean, recruiting is kind of over. I know we've got a Geico Summer Showdown coming Tuesday with Gabe Cups playing Bronny's team, Strive for Greatness, out in Vegas. But I think in terms of recruiting, that's kind of really it. But you never really know.
Well, the coaches, the live period has now come to an end, so they can focus on their own teams. TJ Power and Xavier Booker and those guys are going to do what they're going to do. The recruiting will continue however it's able to. But Liam Neely's a guy that previously I had thought Indiana had no shot with. Now that he's going to Montverde Academy, I don't know. It gets him out of Texas for one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that changes things.
Yeah, I think Indiana's in a good spot. When I talked to him after his game on Friday, he mentioned Indiana in one of the top 5 schools that he feels are really prioritizing him. And his big thing was, look, Coach Woodson was in the NBA for longer than I've been alive, and that's my goal. That's where I want to be. And it looks like Indiana's in a good spot because when I was walking out, I saw Coach Walsh give Liam's mom a wave. So it looks like they're really trying to build that relationship.
Well, that's interesting to hear, and that's the type of information that we don't see, and that's what we need to hear from you. So, how much more did you talk to Liam about? What did you talk about specifically? What did he say about Indiana?
He said the bigger thing was he's trying to set up a visit sometime soon with Indiana. But the main challengers, I believe, are going to be Texas, Oklahoma, USC, and LSU, I think were the names of the schools he said.
Not Baylor?
I don't think so. I
remember seeing him earlier this summer up at what is now the Mojo Center there at Finch Creek, but the entire Baylor staff was there watching him. But yeah, that would be a big time get for Indiana because, man, if you could have him on one side, and of course I don't know if daggone, we've been talking about him all day from Trent Sisley.
Yeah.
Boy, could you imagine having those guys at wings at the same time? It almost wouldn't.
McNeely has the ability to play a guard spot too. That's just how versatile he is, how good of a shooter he is.
And you could have Jalen Harrelson at a point guard at 6'6". It wouldn't even be fair. I mean, it would be. That's the talent that is coming to Indiana one way or another. They're not going to get all those guys, but
yeah.
It's weird to see that they will be getting the talent that they were not getting in the last 4 and 5 years.
Yeah.
So,
and those other schools were Texas, Oklahoma, LSU, and Texas Tech. That was the other Texas team. So not USC, Texas Tech.
Very interesting. But nice to see that. Hey, we've got to take a break. We've got Keegan Nicholson with us from thehoosier.com. And Joe, is he with us for the segment, or does Dustin join next? I can't remember.
Dustin's scheduled to join next.
All right, perfect. So we'll have them both, hopefully. But back with more here at Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends at Metalworks Brewing Company, the new part of the Wow Club. Make sure you go to your Apple App Store or Google Play Store and sign up for that. But Metalworks Brewery, former Function Brewery, located right off the square off of 6th Street. that kind of catty corner to Cabello. Make sure you stop in there, but sign up for the Wild Club as well. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
The sun is out. The birds are chirping. Yeah, I thought that he was. Hello, Dustin.
Hey, Jim. How are you?
Great, sir. We also have Keegan Nicholson with us, who was down at the Peach Jam. So
I was following.
If you have any questions
and thoughts, okay. All right, let me check out. By following, I mean I saw tweets pop up. I did.
Yeah.
Trust me, I hear you.
Won, right?
Yes, they beat Team Takeover by 1 point.
So was it just Nike that was down there?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. That's the EYBL tournament.
I mean, I know that's what Peach Jam is. I just wasn't sure if there was if someone else is local just to take advantage of.
Yeah, because what's his name? Jamie Kaiser was out in California.
Okay.
Which
I wasn't sure who was where. All right. Maxine found a locust, so we're going to go back inside. Whoa.
It was funny.
Right, okay, now
LeBron's
that's
team,
a good thing.
Strive for Greatness, they were supposed to play BABC and TJ Power on Saturday, and they just decided to leave. And didn't even play them.
Okay. This is stuff you got to talk
ball
about,
man. You forget it's
couldn't matter less.
You just it's gotten pretty well organized at the highest levels at this point that you don't see as much crazy as you used to, but you got to remember it's still travel ball is still wild.
When I first got there, I was watching Drive Nation, and Strive for Greatness was supposed to play after them in that gym.
Mm-hmm.
And the stands were packed for the Drive Nation game. Mm-hmm. And they come in and say, everybody, 2:00 game's been moved to court 3 and 4. And then 80% of the crowd just gets up and leaves because they were only there to get a seat for Strive for Greatness.
Man.
Oh, how was your weekend, Dustin?
Good. I was I guess batching it this weekend is the word. My wife's at a conference in Orlando, Education Writers Association. So I had to hold down the fort and make sure that my dog didn't destroy everything and do actual, housework. And when I wasn't doing that, I was transcribing tape. So
20 seconds.
So
HRVs, and pilots. See dealer for financing deals. Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indy Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. It is Monday. I hope you had a great weekend. Jim Coyle with you as always here at Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our great friends from Remax Realty. Make sure if you're in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area, reach out to Cheryl Sizemore and her 2 decades of experience. It could be the difference between you getting the home you want or not. Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. Dustin Dopirak from the Bloomington Herald-Times joins us now, along with Keegan Nicholson from the Hoosier.com. How was your weekend, Dustin? Bachelor, Mr. Bachelor.
Yeah, I guess you call it that. Whatever it's called when your wife leaves you at home and says, "I'm off. Go figure it out." No, she's at a Education Writers Association conference. So
it means don't screw anything up. Don't mess anything up. Don't leave a mess for me to clean up when I come home, because I'm not dealing with it.
Make sure the dog and the cat are still all in one piece. Try to make sure they don't destroy anything. So far, the only casualty, somehow the dog got into my closet, and she managed to bite up my driver's license, which took some work on her part. So that's interesting. That's chopped up around the edges now. It's still functional, I think. But yeah, so I haven't messed up anything dramatic yet, but we still got a couple more days till she's back home. So We'll see.
We've also got Keegan Nicholson with us. He was down at Peach Jam. A lot going down there, of course, as the IU coaches were there for the most part. I think they had to head out to Cali for a little bit, but most of the action down in North Augusta. We were talking about that a little bit earlier. And of course, it was cool to see the Indiana 16U team with Catchings and Jalen Harrelson and Trent Sisley win whatever event that they were in. It's hard for us to figure out. Like Keegan said, I don't know. There was two different. There was an invitational and a different one.
Right?
Yeah.
So Peach Invitation. I mean, so correct me if I'm wrong. The jam is the 17U. That's just what it means, right?
No, they had 15, 16, and 17U championships for Peach Jam.
Oh, okay. So then there was a Peach Invitational.
Yes, which
different?
I guess is maybe people who didn't qualify.
Okay.
That wanted something, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
They lined it up. The games were the 12:30, 2 o'clock, and 3:30 were all championship games for the three ages there.
Okay. All right. So I didn't realize there were three ages and it's a separate tournament. Okay.
That's
so what is it
more confusing?
So I guess to put that into perspective, so what does that mean for that Speece team? Like, I mean, is it kind of like winning the NIT?
For the Indy
That's a good quote.
Seriously, I mean, is it? I mean, is that what it is basically?
I don't even know because they looked really excited, and they looked like it really mattered that they won. Which I guess if you're going to go somewhere and play in a tournament, you want to win. But
right. I mean, in terms of how they're viewed as a team nationally, does that basically mean like they won the everybody was in the Peach Jam was in the main event and they were
I would say it matters less and it's getting way less attention than if they would have won the
16U Peach Jam. Yeah. Okay. All right. That
Well,
makes sense.
we'll pretend it was just as big and say, all right, they won the. Well, when I saw it called the Pit, I'm like, I could not get it figured out. I'm like, oh, what the hell's the Pit?
Yeah.
Because I was the J. The J was not fitting into that for me. Peach Jam Invitational. But what stinks about this whole thing is, Dustin, these guys, we've got to wait 3 more years. We're going to be talking about these guys for 3 stinking years.
It doesn't stink. We're going to get so much. You guys are going to get so much content out of this.
Content.
What are you?
I know.
What are you talking about, Jim?
Seriously. I know. I just want to see them play in college, man. I mean, they look
so far. I mean, well, the thing about it is, though, I mean, it's been a while since I've been here for like, dudes that mattered in state that Indiana and everybody else wanted. That were a big deal for a while, and that we're also playing during a normal time when everybody else could see their high school games, their AAU games. I shouldn't say AAU anymore because AAU has got nothing to do with this, but it's all the same. I mean, I think it's still cool. It draws. I mean, it's you go back to early 2010s when you had Cody and you had Yogi and you had all those dudes, Jeremy Hollowell and Ron Patterson and some of the guys that didn't make it, but it was just a good time for it. It's gonna, this is gonna do bonkers numbers for you guys. Gonna do crazy numbers for you guys. Because this is how Kyle Neddenrip gets to be a superstar again. Like when these dudes are this good for this long, that's a good thing. I think even you're gonna have a year really of Xavier Booker just hype where like as good as he is, obviously he just hit that height now. Yeah. Sisley and Harrelson and those guys are going to have a while where they get to sit there on the scene and be a big deal. And it's going to be cool because we're all going to get to know them and everything like that. And if they go to Indiana, then, obviously we'll have a pretty good basis for who they are and what they're all about and what their games are like. And that's kind of cool. Because, I mean, again, I thought that was cool about the 2012-13 team and those guys. It's like we already knew Yogi's game, well before he showed up. What he was all about, what his strengths were, what his weaknesses were, and a bunch of those guys either in the state or otherwise regionally. So that's going to be cool. There is nothing bad whatsoever about 15 U's being really, really good.
I'm thinking about
you guys especially. There is not one single thing about that. I don't want to hear any complaints.
2025 Mr. Basketball race is going to be insane.
It is.
It is going to be insane. And then I think I should buy Dustin a rooster. He's got such a great outdoor ambiance. The only thing next would be a rooster.
This is downtown Indy, man. I'm like 2 miles from downtown Indy. Like I am in the city, and we got 2 roosters within about 200 yards of me. I think
that is amazing. I love it. But do they crow at 5 a.m.?
Not at 5 a.m. I mean, we got pretty good soundproof in the house, so I'm just out here to keep an eye on Maxine, just so she doesn't do anything crazy. But yeah, no, I don't know how early they're up, honestly.
See, now when I lived when I was still at home in Southern Indiana, Greenville, I lived in the country, and I don't think I had roosters that I could hear. I'm trying to think. You never know. I think there is an official amount of chickens. I believe you're allowed to have 2 roosters, and I want to say 11 chickens. This is a city rule. That is amazing. That is awesome.
City rule.
I love it.
Yeah, no, like my wife's best friend's boyfriend works for the city, and he knows the rule. He could tell you down to a point exactly how many chickens and how many roosters you have to have. And I've heard this a few times. I keep forgetting the number of chickens, but it's 2 roosters. But like you can get, if someone classifies the rooster as a nuisance animal, you have an issue. So yeah, but yeah, so we have 2 of them in the vicinity, and it definitely adds some ambiance. I'll tell you that for sure.
All right, our man Kyler Staley, who's actually going to be joining us later, is clearing up some facts. He says the Indy Heat 16U won the Peach Jam Invitational. That was for teams that just simply did not qualify for Peach Jam, and
so that's the NIT.
Yeah. There you go. That was a perfect analogy.
I don't mean to insult. If you won the NIT,
perfect.
That's cool. Like there's it. NIT
it's probably a little bit better than the NIT because how hard? What do you have to do to qualify for the Peach Jam?
Teams in Peach Jam.
And it's hard. To qualify. Probably harder to qualify.
Breaking news from Jake Weingarten from Stock Risers, I think, but Jalen Harrelson will be on Indiana's campus August 1st, the first day that 2025s can start visiting.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. And then he'll be at Purdue, of course, the next day on August 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
So I love when I hear someone say breaking news, I think. That always
no, because there's so many.
You're asking
out of this guy's trying to figure out if it's here.
Nothing sends a bolt of lightning through my heart on the show faster than breaking news. I think
I have to cover my
news. Whether or not Jake Weingartner is the first person to get it is what Keegan is trying to determine.
Yes,
basically, because you don't know where else, like it's Twitter, so you don't know if someone else could have had it first.
Yeah, okay.
You're just saying this is the first person who you see that has it.
It's not breaking news because Alec tweeted it 6 days ago, and I guess I just didn't see it. So that's why I said I think, because I was wrong.
Well, that's fair. That is fine journalism right there. Because every once in a while you throw caveats out there. Sometimes you're wrong.
I'm really glad I didn't send that to Alec. And have him send it back.
I had it 6 days.
Yeah, I put that out 6 days ago, a week ago, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
So there you go. But yeah, it's just too much to keep up with. Because we're talking about kids from 3 years, from 3 years from now, and I'm like, gee whiz, really?
Yeah, it's just it is an absurd amount of information all coming out of a fire hose at once. You guys do a good job with it.
But this is unfair.
That's why I can't play
kids.
that game, man.
I don't like it, but I think it's unfair to the kids. I know that they partly like it and they're partly responsible. But as a 16-year-old kid, they should be able to go visit the school and it not be anything. But it can't be that way anymore. They're partly to blame. We're partly to blame. Everybody, the fans are the other part to blame. Everybody has a piece.
The market.
It's the fans' fault.
The market is to blame. It's I mean, I don't know if fault is the word, but I mean, it's just like there's interest. There just is interest, and I don't know. We're a good 20 years into this.
What was that?
2 roosters and 11 chickens. 1 rooster would be dead. No, I would not even think about that.
That would be
tell you for sure.
That would be a hell of a meal.
after I got the crap kicked out of me by my neighbors. I mean, that
but it sounds like a Christmas song. 2 roosters, 11 chickens, and 1 rooster would be dead.
I'm gonna let you roll on that. Anyway, no, I mean, I think to go back to the recruiting point. No, I mean, I mean, we've obviously watched it develop really over the last 20 years. I think is where it took really a next level turn. You know, once we got all the sites got involved and everything like that, and you know, you know, sites sprouted up to do it. But, you know, I mean, for one thing, I don't want to say kids are used to it, but they get used to it. I mean, they figured out how to play the game. They've developed some level of control over it, frankly. I mean, we've, you know, passed the point where, you know, it used to be everybody just was crawling all over themselves, just beating the crap out of each other, trying to scoop who was going where, and trying to get it 5 minutes before somebody else. And now it's just, hey, you wait for the kid to make the decision. I mean, those kids basically like laid down the law and said, like, if you know, like, I'm going to make this announcement, no one's going to beat me on it. I might give an interview beforehand that you can save, but that's it. I mean, and you know, they took advantage of it. They started using, you know, tipped and edits and whatnot, so they have all their graphics and they have all their videos. So I mean, they've embraced it. And so I mean, you know, is it out of hand? I don't know. I mean, the you know, genie is so far out of the bottle at this point that there's no putting it back. You know,
oh, absolutely not. And
like, there's
now,
you can't even imagine what it would be like to say, well, we should stop this. What does that mean? You know,
no,
do that.
They the kids. I don't think the students. The kids wouldn't allow you to stop it because it's part of their brand marketing now.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, again, they're just used to it. This is their life. I mean, like, you know, Jim, you and I obviously we grew up in an entirely different universe from what this is. You know, Keegan obviously has a better sense of just what it's like to grow up in this media environment. But, you know, like, social media is so much a part of what they do. And that obviously adds to that. I mean, forget even brand, just like how cool you are in high school, like walking around with your, you know, like, because you have like thousands and thousands of followers, and the guy
if you were the coolest guy on campus before, oh my gosh,
oh yeah, it's
on steroids
and everything like that. I mean, it's just like all this stuff, and you know, like, they obviously have fun with it, they obviously embrace it, and there's obviously a hierarchy, because they know, you know, while the kid next to them only has 10 followers, you know, they go to these tournaments and there's, you know, 100 people like them, you know, 150 people like them, and you know, teammates and guys they play against, and they get to know each other and everything. It's just an environment that you know, like, would be ununderstandable to even the guys that we knew in our area that were like star players, like different universe from them, you know, totally different universe from what they're growing up in, and they know how to navigate it, because it's just sort of what they're born into, you know, like, just a different world.
Keegan, yeah, everybody you saw, watched, and talked with this weekend, they're all engaged. Now, some of them engage in it less. All right, let's take Trey Galloway, for example, but I think that probably had a lot more to do with his parents. He did not have still does not, to my knowledge. Does he have a Twitter account yet?
I think he does.
Does he? He did not.
He barely uses it. Yeah.
I think that if he does, I think that was acquired once he got to IU. I don't think he had one prior to that. Not a big social media person, but he's also not gaining a lot of NIL stuff, which they're, like I said, they're using that for that specific reason now.
How
and
could Galloway not have big NIL, man? He's a gold mine for that.
Because he's not embracing the social media side of it much. I'm not saying he's not worthy of it. I don't think that he does. I haven't heard anything of it. I haven't seen anything, and he does not use social media. Like I said, if he has a Twitter account, it's been added since he came to IU, because he did not have one. Now I think he had an Instagram one, but which is also something that more of the younger kids use more than Twitter. Is that right, Keegan?
Yes, not me, because I'm a journalist and I'm basically addicted to Twitter and it's my livelihood.
That's what we all are. We tried.
Most people my age are Instagram over Twitter or anything else. But
I feel like I was gonna say, I feel like Trey needs to like monetize, market his whole like because he, like sometimes like he looks like he came right out of 1985, like he arrived in the DeLorean. I think he's really got to embrace that between the short shorts, like the hair.
Man,
like,
you're right. What a great idea!
Shirts, like I mean, like he was in that Miller Cop video wearing a Metallica T-shirt. Like I think he's got to go full like.
That is a great idea.
The whole bit, like I mean, I think he's got to be, like
he could do his own apparel line that is different from everybody else's because it's 80s retro, baby.
That's the move. I feel like we haven't really done this. Like he was in the after the Purdue game, they caught a picture of him doing one of these.
Yeah.
Like I really think, like I've been meaning to ask him about that. There's never been a really good time to find out.
Oh
if he's
man,
actually a metalhead, and I want to know. And I think really he needs to embrace that. I think that's the move. Is like Trey Galloway metalhead, 80s metalhead. I think he should take the Guns N' Roses T-shirt you're wearing right now, Jim, and like make that his whole marketing campaign. That's the direction he needs to go. This is free advice, Trey. If you happen to listen to this radio show, I think that's where you got to go all in, man. That's your move.
I think that is great. I think that
he would do bonkers stuff. Would just do bonkers numbers.
You should get a 1% of that as well. Hey, we got to take a break.
I can't take a cut of that as I am a journalist, as Keegan mentioned. I maintain my objectivity, but that's just a smart move, and you can have it for free.
We'll start some kind of an account. We gotta take a break. Keegan Nicholson from thehoosier.com. You can go to thehoosier.com and catch up everything that he's got there and that they have total from this weekend. It is in totality everything that went on in recruiting over the weekend. Keegan. There you go. That should have been
that's an all-time one.
I support that. Yeah.
That should be your Twitter deal. Keegan.
No.
Man, I mean, that's easy. Keegan joins us. No, Keegan Nicholson from thehoosier.com. Can't thank you enough, brother.
Yep. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, we got lots more coming on, and luckily we have Dustin Dopirak, and we'll talk to him all by himself when we come back from the Bloomington Herald-Times. And don't forget to visit our good friends if you're in the market for a home in the southern Indiana area down by Louisville, Floyd, Clark, Harrison counties. Barbara Pop Realty Services has served the area for over 3 decades. Reach out to Matt Lincoln, Matt at barbarapop.com. He will get you taken care of. Back with Dustin Dopirak right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1.
It's like trying to type with my fingers and my feet at the same time and tap dance. Okay. So what do you have coming up?
Football.
There we go.
The poll just came out. The media poll came out this morning.
Oh, did you vote?
I did. Yeah, Cleveland.com did it. Nathan Baird, who used to be at Lafayette.
All right, let me see. Cleveland.com.
Indiana picked last in the East.
Are you shitting me? Below Rutgers?
Below Rutgers. I picked them above Rutgers, but I'm not certain that that's going to be the case.
Well, you know, the most important thing I see at Cleveland.com is Springsteen tickets.
Heard they were off the charts crazy, weren't they?
Why Cleveland fans will have an easier time purchasing seats. Hell, let's go watch Springsteen. I've seen him once. It's a 3-hour concert, baby.
See, I want to. You know what the problem is? All of his like Midwest dates are right around the start of the tournament. Like this is actually like I don't know what to do. Like I feel like I gotta sit and wait it out. But I mean I definitely circled this on my account. Like
buy now, sell later. Buy now, sell later.
Yeah, I can't do that. I mean, I'd have to buy like 5 because the thing about it is, again, it's so close. It's so close to the beginning. It's beginning of March is where most of his Midwest dates are. And I think there's some in the East around April, but it's like, okay, in theory, you got to keep open for the Final Four. So it's just like, there's nothing in Indy, you know, I mean, I can't remember what Chicago is. But no, it's a thing. I really want to go mostly because, I mean, I think he's awesome. 2, missing Petty is going to sting for me for a long time.
Dude, you and me both.
Yeah.
Oh,
like, he was in Pittsburgh like a month before. And it was like, I'll get to see him someday. You know, he was like, for whatever reason, like I had a like mild conflict, you know, like didn't, you know, it was like one of those days where just could have gone, didn't, thought maybe I might have something to do, didn't have something to do. And then, you know, like a month later, he's gone. And you're like, oh,
I wanted to go see him. I think it was him at one time. I was supposed to see him at the Hollywood Bowl.
Oh, wow.
And it fell apart for whatever reason, and it just made me. After he died, I just wanted to cry because I'm like, that
one was crushing.
Someone that I did not get to. I'm like, oh my god, and there's not many. There's not many. I mean, I'm like, I've seen Johnny Cash.
That's awesome.
Chris Christopherson, which I know
He's
that they're
really
country.
Good. Like I got an uncle who's really into him. Well, I didn't know too much about him, but he's the real thing.
Songwriter, man.
Yeah,
Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com.
This segment is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Well, welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. I hope you had a wonderful weekend and going to get off to a better start to the week because it's going to be cooler. So if nothing else, you will be able to get outside. Dustin Dopirak from the Bloomington Herald-Times is with us now. Man, it was so hot. Did you do anything last week of outdoors?
I did. I run outside when it's hot. I make a point.
Oh, you're not. Oh my God.
Make a point.
You're insane. You're absolutely. So wait, so I didn't know you. So you're a runner?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not, I don't compete as much as I should. But I make a point to run. I ran, you know, I was a bad miler in high school. So I stuck with it and it's kept me, you know, served me well over time. But yeah, no, I mean, I try, like when it's really hot, like I make a point, unless it's like 100 and it's like, but it's like, I mean, so if you get used to it during the heat, then you can do anything, you know? So then like when it cools off, you feel like, you know, all the weight's off and you feel great. So I'm looking forward to it today. Like when we get done, as soon as I can get Maxine to chill out, I'm gonna hit the road and do some running again. But
the hottest thing I remember doing in the last several years, and this has probably been 8 years ago at least, was I did hot yoga. Someone suggested because I was different. Something I've always trying to do something to stay in shape, and so I remember going over and doing that. And I'm thinking, you know, how bad can it be? It's yoga for one thing,
right?
I had afterwards. You know how things just get imprinted into your mind. All I could think about was high school football and two-a-days after, because there's been no time in my life my body has been this hot, and that was at the time I was in the greatest shape of my life. I thought I was going to die then. I thought I was going to die after hot yoga. An hour and a half in this 100 and whatever it was room, not doing anything but holding these poses. But I got out of there and I was like, I stood under a cold shower for like a half hour. It was brutal.
It'll get you. It'll get you.
Oh my gosh. And so, but yeah.
But it's like being in a sauna, right? Like that's how it works.
Yeah, it's like being in a sauna, but you think you're not doing anything because you're holding these poses, but you get out of there and it's like, oh, holy crap. It just reminded me of that heat. And last week, that was the heat, man. That's the kind of heat we had. But you getting out there, man, you're a madman.
I don't know. You get used to it. So I did some running last week, and it'll be easier this week. So I'm only gonna do so much this week because we got media day starting tomorrow, man.
Well, and which
starting tomorrow.
Big Ten football media days start tomorrow. Luckily for us at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, which that is where I hope it is always held there from now on. And
it will be, and you know it.
I know. And guess where the next place it's going? I will guarantee you.
Probably I wouldn't be
Minnesota. Exactly where Mr. Kevin Warren was from. where he came from last. I'm
We're
not
gonna spend a lot of time in Minneapolis, and then
I'm not happy about the basketball tournament being up there.
Me neither.
It's just dumb. It is actually ridiculous. But
I mean, it's gonna be fun once we get there. But getting there is gonna be a pain. Yeah, adding a lot too. It was very nice this year just to be able to fall out of bed and go to the Big Ten tournament. That was nice.
Oh my gosh, it's gonna be. Yeah, but not only that, it's there for a reason. I mean, these places, Indianapolis is built to do this.
It is. It's built perfectly.
The Big Ten Football Media Days was awesome last year. It'll be awesome this year. We'll be there live tomorrow. But speaking of football, you were part of a poll recently.
The unofficial official media poll.
And I prefer this one.
We don't have a real one anymore.
Really? What happened to that?
They might pick a few of them. They don't pick them the distance. Used to be that everybody did a full poll, but the Big Ten hasn't done a full poll in years. So football and basketball, both reporters have decided in both cases to run a poll basically. And our man Nathan Baird of Cleveland.com does it. Nathan used to cover Purdue at the Lafayette Journal and Courier. Good friend of the Dopirak good friends of the Dopirak Slavies. We were at their wedding. They were at ours, he and his wife. And anyway, so they put it together. Ohio State, not surprisingly, is your overwhelming favorite. Let me see here if let me pull this up. I think they were unanimous choice to win the whole thing. Yeah. Every vote in the East. 30. Yeah. Ohio State was unanimous pick to win the league. Wisconsin picked to win the West. And I think got 31 of the available 35 votes to win the West. But
there's not a shocker. There's not a shocker. Yeah. There's not on the West side. There's not a surprise there to me at all, to be honest with you. I think that Purdue at number 4, maybe, because I don't know what they have.
I mean, Aiden O'Connell just having a legit quarterback finally. I mean, obviously,
that makes a difference.
Controversy over there. O'Connell is returns with big numbers. Obviously, you lose David Bell, which is a big deal. I think you lost Milton Wright too, if I'm not mistaken. But I think there's some depth over there at wide receiver.
The West is chalk. That's chalk to me. The West is chalk. I said the West is chalk to me. You've got Northwestern at the bottom, which that's easy to do. Illinois next to the bottom, which I got to be careful with them. They may be slippery with Nebraska, even though Nebraska should be better again. But Belema's working hard, man. Belema's working hard to get Illinois. And we'll talk about them more. But and of course, Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota picked first, second, third makes sense. In the East Division, of course, you mentioned Ohio State. Then they've got Michigan pretty substantially in front of Penn State.
That seems right to me, though. Yeah. I think obviously Michigan coming off the playoff run. I mean, obviously they lost a couple pieces, but they still bring back Blake Corum. They still have quarterbacks. They still have receivers. Now they obviously lose the ends, and that's a big deal. Certainly with those two guys being gone. But
maybe the bigger surprise is Michigan State still being down at 4th, which is all that they've done and added and keep bringing that they haven't caught Penn State. I was going to say
I picked them 3rd, and because I mean obviously Penn State still got some dudes. Obviously, Clifford comes back for his 10th year. Joey Porter Jr. obviously is a terrific player on the corner, but they lost Jahan Dotson. I think that's a big deal. They still bring back Parker Washington. I think he's really important. But I mean, Michigan State still has a lot. I mean, obviously, Walker was a big deal. I mean, he was far and away their best player. He really brought them into, just did a lot individually. So I imagine that's why is sort of you look at, okay, who's a bigger individual loss? Parker or Kenneth Walker or Jahan Dotson, and you would say Kenneth Walker. So I mean, that's maybe a reason to drag Michigan State a little bit down below Penn State, but I still, I think Michigan State handled them last year too. So I think I put Michigan State higher. I think they still have a lot of good pieces. They still have Jaden Reed. I'm blanking on the quarterback, but all the same, I took Michigan State over Penn State by a bit.
And Michigan State,
they only got like 7 points. I mean, basically, it seems like everybody was coin flip between Michigan State and Penn State, but I'm not surprised everybody picked Michigan second.
But if I'm Michigan State, I'm saying, hey, you better make a move. You're making $9.5 million a year, bro. It's time to move up out of that bottom four. That's not why.
Oh, they already did. I mean, again, they made the move. They made the move, and obviously they're going to have to sit there. But I mean, obviously over the next 5 years or something like that, Michigan State has to be a part. Like, I mean, I think they're going to change the divisions anyway. Obviously, you're going to add USC and UCLA to this mix, and you don't even know what the divisional setup is going to be. But yeah, I mean, to maintain that salary, to not be, for them not to move on, obviously he's got to keep Michigan State as a top 5, top 6 program in the Big Ten as a whole.
Then you look over at the East, of course, and we already know the top 4. Indiana picked at the bottom, partly because they were the worst team in the league last year at 2-10.
And that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. But you add to the fact that nobody knows what they've been able to do other than add names. We know that they've added Karna Bazelak, but we don't know what that has done.
It's Bazelak, by the way.
Bazelak. I keep adding that R in there.
Dad corrected me on this, but very important. Bazelak. I think it's one. I think it's 2 syllables too. So we're gonna get that right. I've been getting it wrong the whole time. I've been saying Bazelak. It's Bazelak.
Bay. What was that show? Bay something.
I can't remember.
All the girls running around.
Yeah, I don't know. There was Bays. I don't know. I'm not sure.
But Bazelak, and obviously I think he's going to be the starting quarterback. That's simply based on a guess. But we don't know what he has receiver-wise other than in name. We don't know what the offensive line is going to do other than what we saw them do last year, which was horrible, and that they've added nothing to that. So there's no reason to think that they're going to be better. Sean Shivers, of course, been added to the backfield, but they also lost backfield. So
Stephen Carr, Poindexter, everybody else was part of that room at the beginning of the year. Yeah.
What does Tom Allen say at media days tomorrow when? Well, we were 2-10 last year, and we have not let anybody see anything this year, so I'm not going to tell you anything.
Oh, he's going to tell us. I mean, in fairness, for as much as we're talking about what we didn't get to see in the spring, I mean, Baywatch.
Boy, it didn't take them long at all to get that one out. Didn't take them long at all to get that one out, baby.
They were right on that.
Robert P. and Jim B. And Jim B., where are you from, by the way?
Anyway, as it were, I think. I mean, we obviously got sort of talking availability in the spring, as much as we didn't get sight visuals to actually see what we were looking at. We did hear a lot about the guys and what they liked. I mean, as far as we talked to all the assistants, we got basically everybody's read on their own room. So it's not like they were completely putting it behind. And everything operated behind closed doors, but I mean, they were willing to say, "Hey, I really like what this guy's doing. We really like what we're getting out of Camp Camper. We really like what we're getting out of Miles Jackson. We really like about those guys." Jennifer's like, he will say LEO, which he will, but no, I mean, in as much as again on some level they're not transparent at all, but on some level they are. I mean, I think Tom Allen has been very, very honest about what he felt went wrong and what he's tried to fix. And again, we haven't seen it. And I think he was pretty clear, though, also on why we haven't seen it. He said, look, we got 2 new coordinators. I don't want to create any film for anybody. Just don't want anybody to see it. I want to be able to do this behind closed doors. I don't want anybody to have our plays when we show up on opening day. It's not worth it. We don't
especially when they start with a Big Ten opponent.
They start with a Big Ten opponent right out of the gate. It's like, I don't,
They start with a Big Ten opponent who will have already played a game.
Yeah, if they're going to win any games, they got to beat Illinois. So it's
absolutely,
they might as well have some level of element of surprise there. But they've at least been willing to say, okay, so I think he's got a lot of questions to answer, because I think it's like, if you're out of town media and you're like, Tom, who's even on your team? Who are your guys? Who's going to play for you? I think that's an interesting question, and obviously has a lot of space to talk about that. I've got questions for him. I got plenty. To ask about. I mean, we got, again, in fairness, he gave a lot of questions. He answered a lot of our questions when it came to May. I mean, I think you got a 1-on-1 with him. We got a 2-on-1 with him. Zach and I got to sit with him. and talk about, again, just do a full, autopsy and the whole bit, and talk about what went wrong and what he tried to fix in the spring. In fairness to Tom Allen, for as much as he has shut this thing down, when you ask him specific questions, and I mean, he's generally pretty honest, and so I don't think he's not going to have nothing to say. There is going to be, at least for those that are interested in talking to a guy who is the coach of a 2-10 program, he'll be interested. So yeah, all the secrecy if they get handed the butts to him by Illinois for nothing. Yes, but there also wasn't that much to be gained. I guess there was some level of fan excitement, but you would lose all that fan excitement anyway if you got beat by Illinois. So
I agree.
Whatever there is, if they get their butts handed to them by Illinois, whether they opened it up or they didn't open it up, it wouldn't make a difference. Fans are still going to be angry. And so there wasn't much to be gained, I guess. I mean, there's something to be gained when you already have some momentum, when everybody's happy to see you and everybody wants to know what's there. This fan base is disappointed, bothered, annoyed. They weren't going to show up for a spring game. Let's be serious. There'd have been like 300 people there. Something like that.
Oh, you're being generous, I think.
Being generous. I'm presuming that a whole lot of people didn't have a lot else to do on a spring weekend in Bloomington. But no, I don't think they would have drawn well. And so it was just as well for them that they had a full practice, that they didn't have to pull any punches on. They didn't put anything on film, and they didn't have to subject their players to seeing that everybody had jumped off the bandwagon. I mean, I think that's something in itself is just, what little you draw, but also the fans, the players being shown, this is how much everybody lost faith. And so did they really need that at the end of spring? I don't think so. So I get it. It's annoying for me because that's one less story I got to write and a little bit less expertise I got to carry into the summer. So wasn't fun for us. But all the same, I get why, like how much was there to be gained by having a spring game this year?
Well, Illinois, to me, is a must-win game. It is just absolutely a must-win right off the bat, and it's a team that will have already have played a game. Cincinnati is basically a must-win game because you don't have opportunities to get wins elsewhere. You've put yourself in that position by being on the road against a team that finished in the top 4 last year as a non-con game, which that's going to be
obviously.
But they have a chance there. They should have won that game last year, which, of course, we can go back and forth on that. But it's not going to get any easier. You're adding USC and UCLA, so it's not going to get easier. So you have got to elevate they have got to elevate the program now, or then there's going to be issues that we'll talk about later. But what's up next for you?
Getting into football this week, man. I mean, here we go.
You'll be at of course you'll be at Lucas Oil tomorrow, I'm assuming.
Yeah, be at Lucas Oil tomorrow. Be at I don't know if I'll be at Lucas Oil on Wednesday too. I might as well. But yeah, no. So next, obviously, just getting the football process started. Basically, just diving into some off-season projects I've had. Putting those on print. So yeah. No, that's the deal. Basically, it's just starting with beginning our football coverage and delving into some features, getting ready for camp next week. Should be a fun time, and we'll get to actually know about these guys.
Absolutely. Make sure you give him a follow, Dustin Dopirak. Follow him on Twitter and at the Bloomington Herald Times. Be a subscriber. If not, I am. You got to keep local papers alive, baby.
Yes, you do.
Dustin Dopirak, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow, by the way.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Jim. See you up here.
Thank you. Dustin Dopirak joining us here. Coming up next, we'll talk to Jim Reamer for one, and expecting Tyler Staley from thehoosier.com as well. Talk about some recruiting over the weekend. And let's see, who was it that? James E says we need to stick to basketball. Can't do it, brother. We got to talk about it all. Unfortunately, that's the sad part. But don't forget about our good friends from the WOW Club. Make sure you go there and sign up at your Apple App Store or Google Play Store. Start earning WOW rewards today. And they are a proud sponsor of Value Athletics as well as Indiana Sports Beat Radio. So support those who support you. Don't forget about them. And we'll be back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting Bloomington or a Cutter. Oh, he's coming on at 10:10. Never mind.
Who's that?
He's going to, Kyler will join us at 10:10.
Oh.
What's up?
Whew. Done with basketball.
Yeah, boy.
Well, for a while.
Yes, I am doing the show. Yes, we are doing the show from Indy.
What's at Lucas Oil this week?
Big Ten Football Media Days.
Oh, there you go.
It's all they last year was the first year they did it. It was amazing. They usually would have it in Chicago at this big ass hotel, which you have this big ballroom. They do it. Then the radio row would be over in some other stupid little, white colored room way down the hall. Now it's all on the football field, everything,
Nice.
which is a cool background in and of itself. And like literally the background is behind us is, for me, I'm gonna have to turn around so you can have the background behind us where all the speaking's going on and all that stuff. So that's pretty cool.
Right.
What did you do this weekend? Where were you? What did you just watch?
No, we were in Milwaukee for the NY2LA finals.
Oh, perfect.
The
In Milwaukee.
Actually, our finals were in Atlanta 2 weeks ago. This last event was just like an extra event just for the NY2LA teams.
You see Xavier Booker play?
I did, yeah, did. And there's a kid from Rhode Island that was really talented.
Little Rhodey on him.
Yeah, hold on, let me see what that kid's name is.
Oh my God! I should pull that up. I forgot all about that tweet I sent out. I wonder if I got any bad remarks on that.
What tweet was that?
There was a picture of Archie Miller sitting next to Thad Matta and I think Kenny Johnson on the other side. And I just retweeted Lil Rhodey hanging out with the grown-ups.
15.
I should pilot. See dealer for financing deals. Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Courtroom Sports Grill in Bedford. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. I hope you're having a good one. We'll get you started off, hopefully, to a good week. Temperature's going to be way down. Basketball has come, the AAU circuit has come to a close just in time as Big Ten Media Days, football media days start tomorrow. But Jim Reamer's with us now as he was up in Milwaukee. Events were out in California, Milwaukee, Chicago, North Augusta, stuff going on everywhere. Coaches traveling all over the place. IU coaches were in Milwaukee at one point too. I know they were in California, Milwaukee, and down there in North Augusta. So a lot of traveling by some of those dudes. How did your weekend go?
It was okay. We were kind of walking wounded this week. So it was our kid from down by you, our 6'10" kid, got injured heading into the weekend. So he played hurt. And then we had a kid that couldn't make it until Friday. So we played our first 3 games with just basically 5 healthy guys. That was not ideal. But they competed. And we've got some low major programs looking at them, and that's good. So they got a couple of those guys raised their stock a little bit. And we did okay. We did okay. Not the way you want to end it, but we did okay for what we went up there with.
I mentioned the Big Ten football media days going on. Yeah, we will be doing the show there tomorrow for sure, and probably the next day as well. Just to throw that out there to Chris. Yeah, you were up in Milwaukee, and then in addition to your team, Xavier Booker was up there playing. I know the IU coaches were up there watching him, and I don't know if is there anyone else for them to gleam at?
See, Xavier Booker obviously was up there watching or playing for George Hill's team. Yeah, I'm trying to find the kid's name from Rhode Island. I don't think Indiana was watching anybody else but Book, but the kid from the 6'11" kid from Rhode Island was fantastic, and he's got a tremendous motor. I can't locate his name, and it's unfortunate. It was the first time I ever saw him play. I thought he was the best player up there, but he's an emotional kid. Plays with a lot of energy, but he is emotional. He got into a couple of scuffles during games that had to be. The officials didn't remove him, but their coaches had to get with him. But I like this energy. It's kind of one of those things where we all coaches think they can harness that, So you love that he plays up to the point of doing that, But then he kind of crosses the line, and kids like that, Booker included, are targets. They take a lot of unnecessary shots during games. Guys are always trying to better them or be better than them. It's a lot like Chet Holmgren in the NBA Summer League, where every podcast I listened to, every broadcast of their games, they talked about how guys were going to go at Chet because he's tall and brash and confident and likes to talk a little smack on the floor. Of course, Book doesn't talk much smack on the floor, but the kid from Rhode Island does, and you love the energy. You just got to figure out as a coach how to harness it because the things that he does up to that point are hard to teach. It's hard to teach motor. It's hard to get a kid to play with that kind of energy. But Booker was good. He's still got he's got the motor issue still. I don't think they felt like they played as well as they could as a team up there. But the last week of the year, it was the last week with this team ever. Same with them. You tend to take a softer approach, and you just want to close out strong, and then thank them for sticking with you for 4 or 5 years.
Were you able to see Xavier play? I know you were up there with your team doing that, but
no, we played. It's nice because the schedule's spread out enough. I mean, we were there. We played 7 games in 4 days, or 3.5 days, really. So 2 games a day, except for Wednesday, when it was. So really, we played 8 games total. So it's a good week. It's a good way to end the year. I do like the NCAA rule where you can't play more than 2 games in a day. So it does allow the schedule to be more spread out during the day and more rest for the kids. And then you get a chance to watch other teams. There were probably 7 or 8 teams from Indiana up there that I got a chance to watch and was able to watch George Hill's group play quite a bit. I think I saw them play all but 2 games. I don't know that I saw Indiana there at all, to be honest. If they were there, they were just there for 1 day. So I don't know.
What did you when you got to see Xavier? What did you see?
I mean, there's obviously
more of the same.
Yeah, it's a lot of the same. There's still some instances where, there's just times where his motor doesn't kick in, there's times too where there's just things that he does that you can scout out of a game, from a coaching perspective. You can now, obviously he can learn, counters to what he does. He can develop skills in other areas. So it's not like but the motor is the key, the want to, he wants to win. I like that. I do like that. I've never thought he didn't want to win, but you look at the 2 kids, the kid from Rhode Island and then Book, you look at the energy those 2 kids play with. The Rhode Island one is the one you want. It's easier to pull a kid back than it is to push a kid forward. And that's been my experience. I know a lot of coaches feel that way. But then Booker's got skills. He's got range that the other kid doesn't have. So you wonder what's the tipping point on that. But Booker's going to have a better motor if he's going to succeed in a high major conference.
Yeah, and it seems like the the recruiting between him and Indiana is it's a little. There's been a little distance there. It seems like.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's hard because our schedule in Atlanta was synced up almost exactly. I think we played the exact same time every day except for one when we were in Atlanta. It was the same type of schedule. We played one game Wednesday, then we played 2 games each day after that. And so I only got to see them play once in Atlanta. And it was they blew out some team. So nobody had to play hard that game. I mean, he played hard up to the point where the game was virtually decided. Then they sat their top 2 or 3 guys and kind of coasted the rest of the way. So we both did well down in Atlanta. I think both of us kind of felt like we underachieved as a team in Milwaukee. But both teams had good individual performances. But yeah, I don't know. Indiana, it's hard to say because I know there was some question of was Indiana up there, and I just didn't see him. I confirmed they hadn't been up there through Friday. I don't know if they were there Saturday, but they weren't there yesterday watching them play. If they were, I didn't see them.
I would imagine if they were, I'll have to go back and look. It was just for one game, just to not totally ignore him, but it just seems like the people like Marco Jackson and Jamie Kaiser and Raleigh Burgess and Derek Queen and those guys are just taking more of the attention now. But you got guys like Jalen Harrison, though, man. I mean, Juwan Howard's watching him now. Those guys are going to start pulling in all the big time names because they are just it's just going to get out more and more. Luckily for Indiana, they were in from the beginning on those guys.
Yeah, Harrison and Sicily, the 2025 class, they're both the real deal. And we're going to jump from what I do on my website. 2025 is a much deeper and more talented class than 2024. 2023 is an extremely deep class out of Indiana. I just haven't felt like there's just that hard lock in stone high major kid, and
well, that's one of the reasons why they're recruiting people like Marco Jackson.
Correct. Yeah.
Jamie Kaiser.
I'd love to know that kid's name in Rhode Island. I looked it up as we were waiting to go on the air, and I couldn't find it. He was good, man. I loved him. I love watching him play. We could have used him. All summer. But he had a good disposition off the court. Just really got emotional when people were going at him, and it was fun to watch up to that point. And then you just hope it didn't spill out into other parts of the gym because sometimes that stuff happens. But everybody did a good job of getting it corralled. So he was fun to watch. So that's all I got on that. I wish I knew his name.
What did he ever play against Booker?
Yeah, he was impressive. He was impressive. Just they're different styles. But Booker can play more facing the basket, and I mean more by he's a better shooter. This kid can drive and finish. Booker can drive and finish, but if you can get him to change directions, you can get him to change speeds, it gets kind of sloppy in a hurry. There's just things that Book does on the court that you won't be able to do nearly as easily in college, nearly as easy in high school games. There we go. Isaiah Miranda. Thanks, Caleb. Yeah, Isaiah Miranda.
How do you forget Miranda, man? Miranda is like Miranda warning, Miranda rights, Miranda. There's all kinds of Miranda stuff.
I don't know out-of-state kids. I can tell you obscure kids out of Indiana, but I don't know anything out of state. So unless we play them, and we didn't get a chance to play them. So
Caleb, another contributor to the Hoosier.com, we'll have him on there this week as well to get his take on everything that went on as he works on the EYBL circuit as well. So we'll get all that, but there's so much that goes on in so many different places. It's hard to get it all corralled together. We got to go ahead.
I was just saying Miranda. Let's see, Isaiah Miranda.
Well, Well, you can look that up while we're in the breaks.
Go to your break.
We got to take a quick break. We got more coming up. Go to Kyler Staley's going to join us from Hoosier.com as well. And we'll get you caught up on everything that happened that went on over the last final recruiting weekend as we are heading towards Big Ten men's football media days tomorrow. But don't forget, everybody, join the WOW Club, Apple App Store or Google Play Store. Just go there, sign up. It's free. They are a big-time sponsor of IU Athletics and, more importantly, of Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Our good friends from BB's Market, a part of that. You can go there, order online at visit bbsmarket.com. Visit bbsmarket.com. Steaks, sausages, all kinds of things that you can have sent to you. Order online. I'm going to get some Hoosier packages ready especially for tailgating coming up soon. Kyler Staley joining us next here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting Bloomington or a cutter, Oh yeah, forgot about that.
What's going on, guys?
Hey man, Jim, do you have any kind of a light to turn on in front of you?
They're both on.
Oh, everybody thinks
I rearranged.
Everyone thinks that you're doing Charlie's Angels
or The Godfather. I like the Godfather reference better than the Charlie's Angels reference.
I'm gonna make him an offer.
I'm sitting in the corner. I can see the whole room now. I rearranged my den. I'm renovating my whole condo, so it's starting today. I rearranged my den before I went down to Milwaukee just to see if I liked it. And I'll work on the background. I'll work on the lighting. I'll work on the background.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna guess it looks good, but we can't see it to tell you.
Correct.
That's a joke. Ha ha
ha. That's how I describe myself in dating apps.
There you go.
I look great. You just can't see me right now.
God damn it.
What up, Kyler?
What's going on? Well, I'm struggling a little bit this morning.
Me too.
My flight didn't get back until 1 a.m. last night, so I'm
oddly enough, I didn't make it home until 1 a.m.
Where were you?
I was in California for the weekend for my best friend's wedding.
I love that movie. It's a good movie. Oh, you were.
I got that.
Yeah.
I like Ryan's question about this exam.
Man, he travels all the time.
I'm done.
We should have had you go to the
3SS
in California.
I know, right? If I could have, it was I was up in Northern California on Saturday, or else if I could have, I would have.
All I hear are excuses.
I know. I should have drove down there. I was in San Francisco. Pretty cold city, surprisingly.
Can be. We took kids up there to Stanford for camp, the 2015 class, and it was we did everything like public transportation. I figured if they're going to go to Stanford, they better learn how to travel like Stanford students.
Yeah.
So we took the train and all that kind of stuff. I did a bunch of research on what we needed to do, and I rented a bike because I couldn't stay on campus. So I was a hotel in the Village, it's just like Kirkwood at Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
But I rode the bike all around. It was 95 degrees every day. It was the warmest summer they'd had in something like 58 years. And I was like, oh, that sucks, because I was out and about in it constantly.
Oh yeah.
Picked the wrong week to do that.
We took a boat tour and everything. It was so cold. The wind was so bad.
Did you go to Alcatraz? Is that where the wedding was?
Alcatraz is cool. I did. We drove past that. That is
it's
cool.
free. You can also find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on the station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. I hope you're having a good start to the week, and I hope you had a great weekend. Jim Coyle with you as always here at Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends from the WOW Club, Endeavor Hospitality, and Andy Moore Honda. Bubba's 33. If you're ever down in the southern Indiana area, right off of I-65, Clarksville, pizza, burgers, beer. Man, need to get in there and stop by. That's a great place to watch a game now. They've got 51 TVs in there, I think, from what I've counted. That's got you covered. Join now, of course, Jim Reamer with us from Courtside, Indiana, but Kyler Staley from the Hoosier.com, who was also in checking out this weekend's recruiting action that was basically nonstop. Now it comes down to visits, lots of visits coming up. We need a calendar just showing the visits that are coming, because they're coming hot and heavy. I think that at the start of the show, we just was talked about something we already knew, but who was it that's coming in?
So we've got 3 big visits this week regarding the 2023 class. Today, Jamie Kaiser will be on campus. He'll be here for a couple of days. On Wednesday, Arden Page comes in. Again, we'll be there for a few days. And then the last one of the week will be Deshaun Harris-Smith, which will be Thursday. So those two might kind of overlap with one another, but it's 3 of the 5 guys, I should say, in the 2023 class that Indiana's kind of prioritizing right now.
If Indiana could get those 3 guys, they would be in hog heaven to go with what they already have, with what they already have coming in, and with what they would have coming back. This would put Indiana in this class alone, added to what they have. It would be probably a top 7, potentially top 5 class. And they would just be right where they want to be going in to the following season. And not saying that they're going to land all 3 of those. I think it's very possible that they do, because they have a need for all 3 of them. Yeah, big visits.
No, yeah, and I honestly, when I look at just those 3 in particular, I see no reason why they can't land at least 2 out of the 3. Now, the reason why it might be an either or with Jamie Kaiser or Harris Smith, they're kind of similar in a way. Both can kind of score off the wing, more bigger wings. Page, obviously, he's a big man in the post, so he's not really competing for minutes with those guys and stuff. But it would just be another playmaker at the wing position, where Woodson can give that guy the ball and he can go out there and make a play, which he's trying to get that more out of his wings. And then, of course, yeah, you've got Arden Page, which they've been on since, the start of the live period and everything. So it's big to get him on a visit. But this is probably one of the biggest, official visit weeks that Indiana's had since Woodson, took over.
But how important is this week, and how are they going to sell those 3 guys if they need all 3 of them together?
I mean, they just need a need for all of them. Like I just mentioned, like the wing position, that's been a big topic since Woodson took over. He wants more playmakers on the floor. He wants guys that can go one-on-one. He also wants shooting, which, Jamie Kaiser can. He provides that. He's a great shooter with, great range. Another guy that they're trying to get to take a visit is TJ Power. Who also just announced that he's going on visits to North
Carolina, and probably Duke. There we go. He's back.
There's Kyler,
but he's still muted,
Audio.
So he's got to unmute himself. You'll have to unmute yourself, but I'm sure you were talking about North Carolina and Duke. If you can still hear me, we can't hear you, but we'll let you know when we can.
Go ahead and drop out and come back in.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
No, we can hear you,
Tyler. You got
there
it,
you go.
Tyler. You got it.
You're good.
It's a nightmare.
So yeah, I know. So North Carolina.
Yeah. So we got TJ Power going to see North Carolina and Duke. I'm not entirely sure what those dates are, but that's another guy that Indiana is really trying to work on getting a visit, an official visit soon. That'll obviously have to probably be a senior year visit. if they can get him on campus, for a game or whatever. But that's another guy that they're really prioritizing. And then, of course, you got Xavier Booker, who kind of rounds out that top 5 in the 2023 class that they're kind of looking at. He's a guy that's visited multiple times, but they were in Milwaukee. They saw him play one time, I believe, Woodson and I think it was Walsh that was there. They saw him play. So those are kind of the 5 guys right now that Indiana's really prioritizing. If they can land 3 out of those 5, I mean, they're set.
I would say that more, Jim. You've seen a lot of these guys play, and you know the importance that they would have to in Indiana offense under Mike Woodson, especially. These are the players that Mike Woodson wants. These are the types of players that Mike Woodson really covets, and you can see in his recruiting. His recruiting is pretty consistent, or it's been very consistent on who they are after, the types of players they are after. Very athletic guys that can score and shoot, period. That's it. I mean, it's pretty simple.
I think the problem you get, and it's not really a problem. It's something you've got to make sure you pay attention to, is when you recruit a bunch of guys that kind of play the same position, like we're talking about with Kaiser and Harris Smith, and they've already have Ja'Kai Newton, who's already committed. You look at a situation where if they have complementary skill sets, well, if they all can shoot, then who cares? But if you have complementary skill sets, then you can play anybody together. If you have the requisite skill sets too, like, I've got a 6'5" wing who I play at the point often, or he's our primary point guard often. And my starting point guard is an excellent shooter. So there's a ton of times both my point guards are excellent shooters. So there's a lot of times where we initiate the offense from the wing with him bringing it up so we can bring those other guys off early screens in the offense. The other issue there too is size. Kaiser checks in at 6'6", or at least he's listed at 6'6". That's a situation where he could probably play. You could play him with other people. CJ Gunn at 6'5" is probably on the shorter end of what you would want to be like a third guard, perhaps. But then if you've got good size up front, you can compensate this, the lack of size on the backcourt. If you're playing what you would consider to be 3 guards, you look at a situation they could land a Kwame Evans, who's more like 6'7", 6'8". Now you're talking a little bit more prototypical. Sometimes you can get too small if you start throwing out a bunch of perimeter players who even if they are bigger, even if they're a decent size for wings, you just hope that Indiana doesn't get small at each spot. That's the only problem with not big man hunting a little bit, which I wish they would do a little more of.
That's the one thing that they I can't say that they haven't, but with Xavier Booker, but they've kind of backed off of him. They've got Malik Renaud, and I think that they like his play. I've heard he's playing really, really well, to be honest with you. Surprisingly well in the summer play. And you bring in an Arrington Page, if you can get him. I know you've got Purdue and how they attack things with their 7-footers or whatever. That's not going to be Indiana. That's not going to be Mike Woodson. I don't think that that's going to be his offense, because I don't think he necessarily wants a 7-foot guy in there unless it's a Chet Holmgren. But I you know what I'm saying? I don't think he wants a Yao Ming 2 there like Purdue has. I think that's going to be fine for some games, but that's not going to allow you to. I think other teams can make you play at their mercy when you are so set like a team like Purdue would be in that situation. I'm not knocking Purdue per se, but
it can't be. I've got a 6'10" kid who I think is an excellent defender. But he does struggle against smaller kids. So and by smaller I mean if he has to guard, like we
a 6'8" guy.
No, I'm talking like a 6'6" kid who's skilled. And not a lot of teams, not every team has that one or two guys that they can put out there that are big like that. So sometimes we have some matchup issues with him, and that forces us to go a little bit smaller, especially if we don't have control of the game. And it's not like, and for us, we didn't solve our second big man issue. I'm not saying that they're comparable to Trace Jackson and Race in terms of talent necessarily, but in terms of how we use them, it would have been nice to have that second physical big body that we could play and that could guard a little bit further away from the rim. But we had excellent rim protection in Jake Cherry, and that's something that Trace Jackson Davis provides for Indiana. So you still got to have that guy or those couple of guys who can protect the rim, or else you're going to have situations where it doesn't have to be 7'4" kid who's immobile. It doesn't have to be a kid like that. There's ways to compensate for it, because obviously Trace Jackson Davis at 6'9" is an outstanding rim protector. But that's you do have to have those guys, and there's no way around it. And we talked earlier about Isaiah Miranda, and thanks to Caleb for throwing that name out there, getting that name for us. He's got 21 offers. 19 of them are high majors. His first 2 were mid majors. Everything else has been high major guys, high major programs, and he's a fantastic rim protector. You need that guy. Hell, you need 2 of them probably. So that's the one trapping of getting this, switchable. Everybody can play all different positions, but you still got to make sure you have guys who can protect the rim, because at some point people are just going to get buy-in and drive you without any fear whatsoever.
Let's see. I know that visits coming in this week. We talked about Jamie Kaiser, Arrington Page, Deshaun Harris-Smith. All 3 of those guys are really important, but Deshaun Harris-Smith is one that he's a shooter, man. Mm-hmm. And I'd say, and he doesn't have a ton of big time offers yet. Indiana's getting in on him early. He's 23, right?
Yeah. They have
a good shot at. I mean, he's probably one they have a really good shot at.
Yeah, he's kind of a under the radar, like as far as like having a shot with him. No, he had a really good summer. Really had some breakout performances in the live periods when those happened. Like you just said, Indiana hopped on him. They see a lot of things in him, and it goes back to that playmaking ability. He's extremely versatile. I watched him a couple games a couple weeks ago, and was really impressed by how balanced he is on the offense. He not only can play in the wing and stuff, but he works well off of screens, and he scores pretty well in the paint. Like there were times where he would play his back to the basket and stuff like that. He's a very interesting player that provides a lot of options, especially if you want to go small ball. He's very interesting, and it's going to be curious to see how they do on his visit and stuff. I think once they get him on there, their chances of getting him will be even greater.
So now what happens? The coaches are back. You've got all these visits, big time visits this week, where Indiana's got to roll out the red carpet, of course. But more importantly, they've got their own team that they've got to work with now, and that has to be the focus. Well, while they've been gone, which has been a lot, you've got Jordan Halls working with the team, and which in that is he allowed in that instance? Is that when he's allowed to actually work with the guys on the floor if those guys are away recruiting?
Yeah, they can work with them. They still do a lot of work with Cliff Marshall.
I know that, but yeah. I'm talking about specific working with. I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. Working with Jordan. That's what I'm talking about.
I think their whole staff can work. Their whole paid staff can work with them.
Not at the same time. Not at the same time. I don't think you could have more than 4 guys. But since those 4 guys were active, were gone. I'm like, does that when that opens up for someone like Jordan Halls or someone else to work with them?
Yes. I think that's exactly what happened. And, with it just being, AAU's over with, right now it's just all visits that they're going to try to get those players in. And then it just goes back to now they're going to start working with their team like they have been all summer when they're available and stuff. Don't get me wrong there, but now it's more of an intense, continue to build that chemistry and getting ready for, the season.
That's what you can do. And that's what they're going to be doing now is everyone's getting
ready for the season. And that's where we're heading now, because no more visiting, or as far as going out. But the visits will continue. And make sure you give Kyler a follow at thehoosier.com. There have just pages and pages of information from this past week of all the recruiting action that has gone on, who's doing what, going where, and all that. So make sure you go there, sign up. Also, Courtside Indiana. What's up next for you now, man? You just get to rest and do nothing, Jim.
I would say hibernate, but I'm starting a full condo renovation. So that's going to start as soon as I log out of this room. I'm headed to Lowe's and start picking up some materials to do for the next couple of days. And
I wish I had that
and plan this.
Now my busy time starts. It's just been the regular time so far.
Yeah.
Now it goes from 5 days a week to 6 and 7.
I always like to say I take a couple weeks away from basketball, but it usually lasts about 3 or 4 days. So, I've started building my next team already.
We've got the Big Ten football media days tomorrow, so make sure you join us then. We'll be loud. Don't know who all we'll have on, but always have a ton joining us. So we'll be there live for the next 2 days. So make sure you sign in then. Big thanks to Jim Reamer, of course, and to Kyler Staley. Make sure you follow both of them. Also to Keegan Nicholson, and I gave him a new nickname, Keegason.
Nice. I'm using that.
Isn't that perfect? I think it. Dustin Dopirak, of course, as well. Big thanks to Joe, the producer, who was filling in for John, the producer, today. We're back tomorrow to do it again from Lucas Oil Stadium, live from the Big Ten Football Media Day. So thanks to everybody. Most importantly, thanks to you guys. Without you, we've got no reason to be here. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.